In today's podcast, I'm talking with Colby Engstrum. Colby is the online pastor for Preston Trail Community Church. It's a large church in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They've got two campuses before COVID, running over 5,000 people on a weekend, and they're doing some amazing things. Now, Colby just stepped into this role as the online campus, but he's not new to the church. He's not new to ministry. He's been in ministry for over 20 years, and he has a lot of great things and energy and excitement that he's bringing to this new position as the online pastor. I'm excited to hear from Colby. I hope you are too. Check it out. Well, hey, I'm here with Colby. Colby, great to have you on today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot for having me, Jason. I'm excited.
Yeah. So let's dive right in. So you come out of the family marriage, and now you're the online pastor.
Right.
Explain a little bit about the church and a little bit about your history on staff.
Yeah. So I moved out here 5 years ago from Southern California, and I've been involved in student ministry and been a next gen pastor here. And so I love kids. I love students. I've ministered to kids, students, and young adults for most of my adult life. And just recently in September, I made the transition to becoming our church's very first online pastor.
Wow. Okay. So you've been in that for a few months.
Yeah, literally since September. And then you want to know the history of Preston Trail. So yeah. Preston Trail has been around for almost 20 years now. Okay. The unique thing about Preston Trail is the fact that it was started by two pastors together who are really good friends, whose history went all the way back to Bible college. And they wanted to start a church that was a church they could be proud of, that connects with people and really helps young families. And they moved into North Texas when it was just at the ground level of growing. And so we actually have a unique model. We have two humble, fully committed co-senior pastors who alternate messages and make decisions together. And so one of the unique things about Preston Trail culture is there's kind of an authenticity and a humility and a camaraderie here that kind of just permeates through the whole culture. And it's kind of exciting to be part of. The people that come here really like being here, and it affects the way we communicate and interact. And it's a place where everybody can come in, whether they feel like they're perfect or imperfect, or they've been churched or unchurched or dechurched. And It's kind of a fun place to be. It really is. And even in the midst of the pandemic, I think we've felt that a lot of people have still responded to that.
Yeah. You guys are killing it. Way to go. Yeah. So take me back. What prompted the leadership to say, you know what?
Yeah.
We need an online pastor. Colby's our guy. Like, how did that all happen?
Sure. Well, it's like anything else, there's different layers to the story, right? And so, from my side of the fence, I had been kind of feeling some stirrings. My youngest son was about to start his senior year, and I kind of felt for a number of years that, like, you know what, I've been doing student ministry for a long time, and I kind of feel like probably around the time that my son's out, I kind of feel like it's probably my time to step out of student ministry. It's not that I don't love students, but there's a lot of good young dudes and ladies that are coming up and coming into ministry, and I kind of felt like my timing was coming, but was kind of unsure what that would be or whether or not it would be here. So that's going on in me and my heart at this time over the course of the last 6 months to a year. And then in the meantime, our church, like a lot of other churches, we've done live stream of different services. We've put on-demand services up after we've gotten done and experimented with what that looks like and put things up on a podcast and different things like that. But of course, the pandemic has kind of accentuated a lot of things. I think it was Carrie Newhoff that said, that the cracks become wider and bigger when something big comes, right? Mm-hmm. And so That's what happened with us. We've known with being a multi-site church, especially, that we needed to expand the way we did things. But it was kind of we kind of clicked boxes with, well, this seems to fit helping people through the computer if they're traveling or they're finding us, but it wasn't an intentional strategy. And then when the pandemic came, we kind of went, all right, now we need to have an intentional strategy and strategic care for what that is. And our leadership, they did research and try to learn from other people. And they luckily for me, because I'm not super techie, they wanted to find somebody who just really loved people and was comfortable in front of a camera and was comfortable with just connecting people and trying to engage people, whether it's through screen or in person. And we just both felt like this was of the Lord, and here I am.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So what does that strategy look like?
Yeah,
week in and week out?
Yeah, well, we're still, if I'm real, we're still kind of figuring that out. You
Okay.
know, that's the short answer. But if I were to kind of sum it up into a couple of statements, it's that we really genuinely care about helping people grow as followers of Jesus. You know, we want to help people find Jesus first and then follow him for themselves, whether it's through a screen or in person. I mean, and so there's some people that are saying, well, you know, when things go back to normal, are you going to go back to this or back to that? It's like, well, no, I think we're kind of taken from the Craig Rochelle model, which is we're putting all our eggs in both baskets because we feel like as people are becoming more, I don't know, just church culture is changing. People are coming in person less often. People are curious and are exploring a website or an online service before they're ever darkening a door. And I think that's true now more than ever. And so we're trying to figure out what does that now look like. And so we're going to have our strategy is going to be we're still building our outward facing model, but we want to have things that are out into the community that are answering questions people have, are meeting felt needs, and are scratching itches that people have that might not be ones that we think would just slapping a sermon series at it is going to do. And so getting shorter, getting more concise, getting easier to use on different platforms. And then, of course, making our online platforms more easier to use, easier to find, and more engaging. And that's where I've been kind of incubating my team and spending a lot of my focus right now is getting used to our online platform and then doing good follow-up with people that come and join us and then even engaging while they're with us.
So would your audience then, would you say your audience is probably maybe twofold? It's obviously people who go to Preston Trail. Like
Right. Yep.
I got a question, you know, they don't,
Sure.
you know, they just want to connect with somebody. Yep. You're the man online, right?
100%. Yep.
So there's discipleship happens in that space and all kinds of stuff.
Well, and so that's just the place where there's like steps that are involved, right? So they're contacting us for a service, or they've come in and joined us for part of a service and have been able to gain some kind of rapport. They've learned my name, so I get an email from them, or I build some kind of a rapport that way. And so it becomes in steps, you know. And honestly, you know, I was talking with our group's pastor, and he helped me with better language. He said that when it comes to online ministry, maybe we need to be thinking in half steps, because these are people that are maybe even further away. And we need to be thinking about half steps because they haven't even decided to be in person yet. And so that's what we're trying to figure out. And we're in the process of developing video modules that we can be able to make available to people. So because that's the thing. I mean, I got an email literally yesterday. It's like, hey, you know, I've been attending online now for a few months. I want to grow my relationship with Jesus. What do I do? And I'm like, great question.
It's awesome. I got an answer.
Yeah. And so we're starting them on that pathway of what that looks like. And it's going to be, ideally, we would like to see people be able to meet in person, whether it's where they're living and we can figure out a way to kind of cluster people together, whether it's that they live 50 miles away or 500 miles away. We want to try to figure that out down the road. But for right now, honestly, Jason, we're just trying to figure out how do we minister to the people coming online well and incubating that team, and then figuring out these other different platforms that we have that we're developing at the same time.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up was, what about those people that are, you know, past the driving distance? And it sounds like you're still trying to build the model. Like we want to answer their questions, reach them, connect with them, build relationship, disciple them. But, you know, it's physically impossible for them to get to activities on campus.
Yep, and I've been trying to learn from different people. That's one of the things that Jay Crandall told me at Saddleback is he said, you know, focus on the proximity around where you are and do that really well, and then look to expand your circles. And man, I just think that's such wisdom. And he's been doing it well, and he's been doing it for a lot longer than me. So I'm going to listen to him. But I mean, we have individuals that'll pipe in from all over the place, but eventually we want to get to the point where we can look at the analytics and see what the saturation points are and see how we can get people together and how we can do that. And we don't know whether, I mean, does that become a micro church model? Does that become the new way that we launch new campuses? I mean, our brains are going crazy with all this because it's so new and so fresh to us.
Right. Yeah. But that is such solid advice to say, you know, start with what you can control around your area.
Yeah.
Get that down and then start growing beyond that. It's really good advice. So, sounds like some of the challenges for you are just kind of, first of all, you're just absorbing and learning and drinking through a fire hose. But have you had any like some early wins from your few months of being in this space?
Definitely. There's one example that immediately comes to mind that I think is a stronger advantage in online ministry than I had anticipated. And so right at the end of a service, and we're so thankful for Life Church giving us the church online platform. That's been amazingly helpful. But there's a way that we can solicit responses to people. And one of those was asking if people want prayer. And so literally right as the service is ending, I get one from a dude who basically just tells me, my marriage is on the rocks. I haven't been in church in forever. I really don't know what I'm going to do right now. I just need prayer. I need to connect with somebody. And I'll be real, Jason, in today's culture, I don't know that a grown dude is going to do that in person inside a church building in today's world. I just don't know if they are. Not in our church. I don't think they are. But there was something about feeling comfortable behind a screen in the privacy of their home in a private conversation like that he was able to get very real. And I've been able to since follow up with him a couple of times, check in on him, encourage him, and build that relationship and kind of shepherd him a little bit. It's just super cool, because that's one of the things that I think we need to be aware of. Is this going to allow us to minister to people that might not be open to having different kind of engagements in person, but when it comes up through a screen, it's just a little more comfortable.
Yeah. Wow. I love hearing those stories.
Yeah, me too.
That's awesome. And we'll pray for more of those and just these platforms because there's a ton of people like that guy out there, right? Yeah, they're all, and they're not, I mean, thank goodness he checked you out, but they're not really looking for church, but they still got this felt need. They're still looking for help.
Right. And
you guys are perfectly positioned to be able to serve that need and help them along the way.
100%.
So, in thinking about the future of online church, now you guys are in Dallas, Fort Worth areas. Yep. Obviously, there's it's like Walgreens. There's a mega church on every corner. How do you do this really effectively, knowing that is it just because there's so many people that you're like, yeah, we're all in with this, or do you really look to be able to grow this online thing to grow in person?
Right. This is how I'm looking at it. Because if I'm real, Jason, when I first got into it, I got a little discouraged by that. Because all of a sudden I'm like, oh, great. So now we're competing with Stephen Furtick and Craig Rochelle and Judah Smith and, all these guys that I super admire, and they're just charismatic, awesome, cool looking communicators, and they're very established online presences. But I think that if you view church as a product, it's really easy to be overwhelmed by it. Mm-hmm. If you view church as a means of connection, community, and connecting people with Christ, I think everything changes.
Yeah.
Because that's personal. That's highly personal. And so I'm trying not to get wrapped up in the numbers of it. I'm trying to just be faithful with the people God's bringing right now and seeing where that goes. The other thing that I'm really passionate about with this is trying to raise up our people to be really authentic with the way they engage people through their online presence. I got to teach in our main service a couple weeks ago, and that was the main crux of my message, was that you are made in God's image for a reason, and you need to wear it well, digitally and physically. And when we do that, we get to show people who Jesus is, and that's the new millennium, new normal for us. Is if we can do that with our people well, they're the ones that are going to bring people into personal community. And I think personal community and growth and discipleship is the goal. I don't think it's thousands of views or thousands of this. I'd heard somebody liken that 1,500 views to counting people who drive by your church building as attendance for your church service that weekend. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of like that. That helps encourage me.
Yeah, thanks for that answer, because I think that should be encouraging for all the churches that are listening, because it doesn't matter if you're a church of 50, 500, 5,000, or 50,000.
Exactly right.
This is the level playing field. Right. And all you got to do is put some effort into it, and absorb and learn and trial and error, because you're going to fail.
Totally.
But hey, you are going to have some of those wins because God's good.
And if the goal is discipleship and community, the local church has that advantage, because as bad as it sounds, it's going to be harder for them to connect with a mega church that's 1,000 miles away. They're going to connect with a church they have a relationship with that's in their town. And so that's the thing. And if anybody's listening that's from a church that's under 200 and is going, oh my goodness, there's no way we can compete. Well, we need to not use that language. It's not about competing. It's about cooperating with what God's doing with the tools he's given us right now to help people build relationship. And if all of us are faithful in our cities to do that, that's when this thing blows up in a healthy way.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're all on the same team here, people, right?
Yeah.
Let's remember that.
Totally.
Okay, so you're like neat, just deep in this stuff, right? You've been learning. It sounds like you've been just trial and erroring things. Where have what's been the best resource you've gone to learn what to do, who you've been talking to? Share with us this knowledge that you got.
Sure. Stadia has done some cool stuff. I was part of I was part of like a I don't know, it's almost like I came into it after our church had already signed up for it. So it was almost like a boot camp for people to be in physical and digital world. They called it Phygital. That was super encouraging and helpful. I talked with the dude at Cross Point in just outside of Nashville, and he was the online pastor there, was super helpful. I've talked with Jake Friend over at Saddleback. He was really helpful. And then I haven't talked with anybody yet from Life Church based out of Oklahoma, but I mean, they are just so generous with their materials. So, I mean, I've watched several things they've put on YouTube to help out with online ministry. I've watched their stuff on Facebook. They have materials and resources that they've just been very kind about sharing with people. There is just so many great things. Tony Morgan's put out some great things. In fact, right now he's putting out a series of podcasts about what it means to be a disciple online, and that's been super helpful as I'm trying to figure out how do I shepherd people in half steps from point A to their next step on their journey. That's been super helpful. I mean, there's just so much out there right now. Kerry Newhoff is, I don't know, I feel like that guy just accidentally breathes out genius at times with how the church can be relevant in an online platform right now. And so I'm inhaling a lot of what he is saying on Church Pulse and then his own leadership podcast too.
Well, it's got to be also really encouraging for you to know that you've got the full support of your leadership team.
100%. Yeah. And that's the thing that's exciting because we realize this is kind of the next thing, I think for us to continue to reach and encourage and help people grow, I think this is it. And our leadership fully gets it. We're in the process. It's actually part of our next giving campaign is to grow and go. And so we're actually in the process of figuring out how to put together a studio that we can actually film different kinds of content that's both outward facing into the community for the stuff needs we talked about earlier, as well as doing stuff for our church family to care for them really, really well. And so, and our church leadership team is involved in helping create content, research for content, and have just been highly empowering and kind with resources, time, and energy about this. It's been great.
Yeah, when I think about, which I'm curious to learn about your team that you assembled and how many more people you want to add on. So I'll ask that question in a second. But before that, it's really great to know that you have content generators, right? I mean, your weekend worship, that sermon alone is a phenomenal content generator. You got 3,000 or 4,000 words that was preached.
Yep.
But are you getting other staff involved in content creation? And then what does your immediate team look like?
That's the great questions. As far as my team, that's the one thing that because I'm so fresh to this, I don't have an official job description yet. The closest thing I have from a job description is from one of our lead pastors who said, Colby, we want you to connect with people, care for people, build relationships with people online. I'm like, I can do that.
Okay.
But as far as my team goes, my team is primarily volunteers right now. And so I'm in the process of building my team of volunteers that's helping me, create lists of questions that we can answer for the community. Volunteers that are helping be part of the host team to expand what that looks like. Follow-up team people that we're on our Facebook and we're on our church online platform that's connected with that. And so that's kind of my area. And then different ministries in our church have been given the green light to create things that are both church family facing and outward facing content. And so probably probably to kind of lead into now that second part of your question, probably the most successful stuff we have right now because of our community is a lot of young families who take the success of their kids highly, 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 highly seriously. And so like we have Marriage Mondays where the lady who oversees our marriage ministry and her husband, that's our worship pastor, two of them sit down and talk serious marriage stuff and every evening. It is probably our most engaged item that we offer people right now. It's got a ton of engagement. The other thing that we do is our Next Gen ministry is trying to do things that are directly engaging families to answer questions and help with things that they need help with. So we actually just did a birds and the bees one about talking with the different age groups about the birds and the bees. And so, one of our senior pastors did kind of the overlying one, and then it was able to break out into spokes. It was age specific. And so our kids pastor did one for how to talk with younger kids because I've been working with student ministry for so long, they pulled me back to do the one for middle school. And then we offered like 5 different ones for it. And that got a ton of engagement from people in and out of our church. And then we're trying to figure out what our next steps are. What are some basic questions people have? I met with one of our young adults in church. She's literally this weekend. He's like, people have theological questions that we need to help them with. And we need to make it bite-sized and easy, but smart. I'm like, I couldn't agree more. And one of our senior pastors has been working diligently on that and getting those down to about 10-minute pieces that we can start to put out there that can help answer those questions. And so, but that's just phase one. I mean, we're going to continue to go out there. I mean, our vision for it is to come to a place where it's almost like when we were kids and we got to watch cartoons on Saturday morning. And they would come out, and the TV channel would release what the lineup was that they were so excited about with these shows that were coming out every week, where we want to have something similar to that, where we're able to have things that face out into the community that are meeting felt needs. Some stuff that just literally is matter of fact about how do you cook a great meal in under 2 hours for a busy family, and how do you coach your kid to keep their head in the game when they're losing their mind, different things like that. What can we do to help with some of those things? That's going to be step 2 is figuring out those kinds of things that we can do in our community.
Wow. It sounds, thanks for that input and went deep with there because it seems like I guess I have in my mind, the picture is you're a conduit. So sometimes you are the end of the conduit, but your conduit, the people as they have these, like this gentleman you talked about, what a great way to say, go check out this ministry over here. Cause they are totally helping guys like you. And you're just walking along with them.
That's right.
But you don't have to have the burden of, oh my goodness, you've got 100 people you got to minister to and disciple. That's overwhelming. But if you can just be a person to receive them, listen, develop a friendship, and then point them in the right direction, seems like that's a huge win. Yeah,
I'm part pastor, part concierge, part dreamer, part facilitator. I mean, I'm wearing a lot of different hats with this right now as we continue to figure it out.
Well, and I love your answer about volunteers because that tells me, you don't need to have $1 million allocated towards this thing. Sure would be nice, but sometimes you just got to start off with just the bare minimums and just start building from there. So that should be encouraging for a lot of churches that you don't have to have it all figured out.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's like, that goes all the way back to the first century church, right? Jesus pulled a group of people who had technically been turned down or turned out by other rabbis to say, I see something in you. I'm going to give you something to do. Now you can go do it. You're available and you're willing and your heart's in the right place. I can work with the rest. And I think if we have that mentality, we can include a lot of people in some pretty exciting ministry.
Yeah. Wow. Well, cool. Well, Colby, thanks, man. This has been incredibly insightful, very helpful for encouraging for people that are getting into the space. And, our prayer is that we just go deeper in this and figure things out and get these early success wins like you've been getting. But along the way, we're gonna learn more and more. And hopefully, Lord willing, we just he keeps blessing it. Yep, that's it. That's the goal. Keep growing, keep getting better, and keep helping people. Yeah. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot, Jason. Thanks for having me today. I hope you have a great day. Yeah, you too. Well, Colby, amazing job. Thank you so much for sharing your insight, your wisdom, and what you've experienced so far. It's really cool to see you already making an impact, reaching more people and connecting with people. So this should be some good news for us out there that maybe have a smaller church, don't have much of a budget. that it doesn't matter how big you are, anybody and everybody should and can be doing this online ministry, connecting with people digitally. And no doubt Colby and his team are going to be making some headway here. We'll be tuning into them and watching them along the way. But I want to encourage you that if you're not sure what to do, or you're not exactly comfortable with getting this online space, do what Colby did. Do some research, right? Check out some of the resources that he's checked out. Learn, engage, ask questions, and you can as well create an online ministry to reach people, not only your people, but people in your community and even beyond. Now, missional marketing, that's our focus. Our focus is fully to help churches reach people outside of their reach, to connect those who might be searching for a church, but maybe they're searching for felt need type of issues, and connecting them with a local church. We've got a lot of solutions to offer you. So if you're interested, check that out. Go to our website. You can learn a lot about that. But I'd also have you check out Preston Trail and get connected with Colby. And he'd be more than happy to talk with you and share his insights and what he's learned as he moves down this path. So thanks again for connecting. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon.